This video will contain spoilers. I am very late for this. You know the rest of the story. Pluribus. Universally positive ratings. Before I continue, I just want to make clear that 99% in Rotten Tomatoes used to be at 100%. One guy just said, "No, don't watch it," and now it's now at 99. Anyway, Apple original series created by Vince Gilligan. I watched it on Apple. Rhea Seehorn. Also, Karan Sony was in it as well, briefly. I didn't know anything about the show going into it. All I knew was Apple series created by Vince Gilligan, starring Rhea Seehorn, that takes place in Albuquerque. And then I didn't watch any of the trailers or anything like that. I'd been meaning to, but just with everything else that I've done for my trailer reviews, I just keep on forgetting to do it. And then eventually the film releases, and I'm like, oh, I was supposed to do a trailer review for that. But even the description on Apple wasn't enough to tell you what the plot is. All it says is something along the lines of the most miserable woman on earth must save the world from happiness, and that is a really good description. But it like because it is exactly what happens in the film, but it still does leave a hint of mystery. So what actually happens in the show is that scientists discover a signal in space, and it seems like aliens are trying to contact us. The signal, it turns out, is like a DNA sequence, and they recreate this DNA sequence and inject it into a mouse. This mouse bites one of the scientists, and the scientist becomes infected with this virus like thing. They outright say that it's not a virus, but it's so similar to a virus that I'm just going to call it a virus for the rest of the review. Um, the people who are infected with the virus do everything in their power to infect other people with the virus until I guess the point where only 11 people in the entire world are not infected, Rhea being one of them. And the whole thing of it is that the virus is it causes you to become part of a hive mind. And the hive mind don't know why Rhea and the 11 other people are immune. But they're wanting to fix that, as in, whatever it is, like, just get rid of the thing that makes them immune so that they can join the hive mind. And it's just, so the whole show is her fighting back in some way. So, I've, I've, during my 28 Days Later review, I talked about how the fact that the film shows the start of the apocalypse with that monkey that the animal rights group had released, it it's terrifying for me when you show the start of the apocalypse. Like, I don't mind zombie things. I don't find, like, Walking Dead I can watch no problem, but if you were to show me how the virus started in The Walking Dead, and especially if it spreads as quickly as it does in Pluribus, then it gets under my skin, and it is actually really fucking scary to think about. But then the rest of the show continues, and what you're left with is absolute cinema. Genuinely, I would say the pilot for this is better than the pilot for Breaking Bad and the pilot for Better Call Saul. Um, I don't really know what else to say. Like, it's really good. Something I do want to mention is I watched this at my granny's house. The reason why is because my mum had overheard some of her co-workers saying that there is a very particular shop not far from the cinema I go to that does kegs, because I have one of those perfect draft pint machines. And when I initially got it, just all the empty kegs were just scattered throughout the house, and we didn't really know what to do with them because we didn't have a box that you could just put 3 of them in and then get some guy to pick it up. But then I found out that there is a shop in Belfast that does them. Excuse me, but the problem with that is that I don't fuck with Belfast when it comes to driving because it's just so complicated. But what I would do is I would go to my granny's house and then get my dad to drive me there, and he would complain, and then he would take my beer or cider. It could be something he outright fucking hates. He will still take it because it's his payment for driving me there. But now there is this place that I can drive to myself, and I was going to go there. Sorry about that. I was planning on going on Thursday, but there was a mild weather warning for Thursday, so. And then my dad said, "Oh, we'll go on Saturday," and I said, "Sure." I am recording this on Saturday, by the way. It's for the films and other things that I'm late for. So initially it was going to be we were going to go up to that shop and then to my granny's house, but then he said, "Fuck, we're going to go to my granny's house then to the shop." So we went up to my granny's, and then my granny and my dad went away in the car to a pet shop because my granny's going to get a cat. And I was just left in our house, and I thought, right, go on Apple TV, because I haven't really watched anything Apple in a while, other than the only thing I've really watched since I finished the After Party is Trying. I was going to watch Silo, but my download of that expired, and I keep on forgetting to renew it. But anyway, I put on an episode of Slow Horses, and then when it ended, I was like, "Oh yeah, Pluribus." The reason why I'm quite late watching this because like episode 5 is out now, so it's been out for like 4 weeks at this point. The reason I'm so late is because Ginger had said that he wanted to watch it with me, and then I kept on getting like too nervous, or he was busy with other things, and then eventually I asked him, he said nah, so I didn't watch it until now. And my dad and my granny came back 12 minutes before episode 1 ended, which is something that I didn't want to happen because I knew that inevitably it was going to be, I don't want to just leave it there. I want to finish the episode. But then my granny's going to make retarded comments, and one of the comments she made is when Ray is talking to the president, and the president's just talking about how come be with us and all that. My granny says she should just move, and then the problem is solved. And it's just, you weren't here, so you don't get the context, so don't fucking butt in. So yeah, that's a very small thing, but it pissed me the hell off because that is just what she does. Because she has been abused her whole life, which has caused her to be fucked up, which has caused my dad to be fucked up, which has caused me to be I think calling yourself fucked up is cringe, so I don't want to say that, but I'm definitely not perfect. Also saying that you're not normal, I would say, is also cringe. But I don't know what happened before she got married to my granddad, but I never met my granddad because he died long before I was born, but apparently he was very financially abusive towards her. She didn't let her spend her money on anything. And then when he passed away, he was like, fuck it. I'm going to spend my money on whatever I want. So she just gets her hands on every single catalog she can find. If she sees any ads on the TV for, like, things that are being sold, she buys all of it. My uncle downloaded Temu on her phone. She spent like £9,000 on t-shirts on Temu. It's fucking Temu. How do you spend £9,000? Luckily, the bank had cancelled the transaction because, how is that even possible? So she's been very lonely, and because of that, she talks to the TV, and it's just, as cringy as it is. Like, if you're on your own, fine, whatever. If you're doing it in the presence of others, whatever. If you're doing it while someone else is watching something, then shut the fuck up. It's just common courtesy. But anyway, we left our house, we got to the place. It turns out the rumours were true. They do sell kegs. And I brought a empty keg that I had to try and return it, because the other shop does returns where it used to be you would get a $5 per keg, but then they decided, oh no, we're not going to give you cash anymore. We're just going to give you a $5 off your next keg. But I'm broke right now, so I've just realised something. Sorry about that. I'm not going to elaborate what just happened, but I remembered something because I was talking about the fact that I'm broke. Despite the fact that I'm broke, I do have quite a bit of cash. And something that I noticed when I was talking to the guy at the till was, they got the back shelf where they keep, like, bottles of whiskey and gin and shit, but below the gin and whiskey and shit was cans of the Beast. For those who don't know, the Beast is an alcoholic, like, sub-branding from Monster Energy. This is not produced in the UK. Like, if you want to get it in the UK, you're gonna have to import it yourself, or, like, get it from, maybe American candy shops will have it if you're lucky. So this shop, it's just a regular corner shop, but they took the risk of importing this because, they're gonna have to jack up the price in order to make a profit. And I really hope that they do, because if they do, they might take a risk in importing other flavors of Monster that aren't, that they don't manufacture over here. Like, Monster have a whole coffee sub brand that I really want to try, but they just don't make it here. So I bought 6 cans. There were 7 different flavors that they sold, but I could only afford 6, so I bought 6. And I tried the berries flavor, and it's decent. And I've tried the original, and it's pretty good. It's basically, it tastes the same as regular Monster, but they've removed the caffeine, they've removed the sugar, and they've added alcohol. So, moving on from that, update review. Valley of Memory for AC Mirage. Someone had asked me, why would Ubisoft make a DLC for AC Mirage when AC Shadows is out? I thought about that. I was thinking, like, maybe just one of the writers at Ubisoft came up with this idea and decided, oh, you know what, let's just add this. Because, like, I feel like that's kind of a really good thing. Like, imagine one of the writers for Unity comes up with an idea for a DLC and they just release it for free, just like that, and that'd be great. Like, you know, and so I think it's a really good idea. I do kind of have a bad history with like a context thing for this update because I didn't know it didn't come out until the 18th. I thought it was out already when they announced it, and on I believe the 8th of November, I had downloaded Mirage and I was going to play it, but then I realized, oh, it doesn't come out until the 18th, so I deleted Mirage. I downloaded Syndicate because I didn't actually play the Jack the Ripper DLC on PlayStation, which means that, that's trophy opportunity. So I've done all that, deleted Syndicate, re-downloaded Mirage, and my space has just disappeared randomly because when Mirage was gone, I swear I had like 150 gigs. So something over 100. But then downloaded Mirage, deleted that, downloaded Syndicate, deleted that, downloaded Mirage, deleted that. Now I'm only down to 70. Even though all the things I've downloaded have been deleted, and it's just where did the space go? And I thought maybe It Takes Two is part of it, but It Takes Two is only 36 gigs, and maybe the other like 34 or whatever. Maybe that's because of Lost Judgment, but I'm not too sure. But I'm in the middle of playing that, so I can't delete that. I've deleted It Takes Two. I deleted Borderlands 4 because there was some update that the PlayStation was struggling to download, and it just would get a notification every single day being like, that text should have appeared as like other notifications where it just says the name of the app. I'll be back. I thought that maybe Siege is what took up the space, but Siege is not on my PlayStation. I deleted it and forgot to re-download it. So I don't know what's going on. But as for the update itself, sorry once again. As for what I think of the DLC itself, or update, I enjoy it, but a lot of people have been making videos saying that it fixed Mirage, it's like the perfect update, and it's just, what is so perfect about it? It's not bad by any means, but it's just, like, they've just added a 2-hour story, and roughly an additional 2 hours of content to the game, so, okay, it's a decent story. The additional 2 hours of, side content, excuse me, it's nothing special, so it's just what's up with the praise. I'm glad it's getting praise because praise on an AC game nowadays is unheard of. But moving on from that, I think I had something else to say, but now I can't remember what it is. I might just have to move on. Fuck it, I'll not just move on. Spiral, also known as Saw Spiral, also known as Spiral from the Book of Saw, mixed ratings. I watched it on... Never mind. Marisol Nichols, Chris Rock, Tobin Bell only appears through archival footage. Samuel L. Jackson, Nazneen Contractor, I wanted to give this the benefit of the doubt. A lot of people talk shit about this, whereas a lot of the other Saw films, like, you'll have like one or two guys that defend it. I haven't heard anyone defend this, but I had seen clips that it's not flattering to the film, and that's why the algorithm notification should have came through. I thought maybe, once I watch the full film, it'll make more sense or something like that, but it just does not. Like, for example, the scene where Chris Rock screams after getting into the car. Even if you were to, like, take out the cheesy Saw editing that has become iconic, it's... Shit, I'm about to get a text. Sorry about that again. All the time I'm pausing, it's for the same thing. I'm just trying to clear something out with a website. But I think the main problem is that with Chris Rock's voice, I don't think he has the ability to do drama. Like, when you see a comedy actor do drama, like, say, Adam Sandler, for example, his voice is kind of iconic and it's part of his sort of image. But you can still have that voice and do drama, but with Chris Rock, it's very vibrant, it's very colorful, so seeing him doing drama, I don't think it works with his voice. Also, the film does kind of feel like Chris Rock playing himself, and in some points, like, he's just joking around quite a lot, and it's just... Some of these scenes I did not know existed going into the film, and they are not good. Like, the first scene you see him in, he's talking about how you couldn't make... I swear to God, get me out of this fucking house. How you can't make Forrest Gump today because, Tom Hanks he doesn't have a mental disability, but he's playing someone with a mental disability. The only thing that I have to say about this film that is positive is the traps in the film made me cringe, and I don't mean that as in they are cringy traps, I mean that as in they are gruesome, and it was hard to watch, even though the first trap, where the guy has his, like, tongue trapped in a vice, I think, as I said earlier, get me out of this fucking house. Anyway, maybe I'm just stupid, but how can you, like, clamp a tongue? Surely the saliva will just make it slip out. Ayo. And also, the guy, like, he tries to pry it off, which, yeah, sure, that's fine. But then he does, Saw logic, where this might be the stupidest thing in the entire franchise when it comes to Saw logic, but the guy, he's standing on, like, this really high stool where basically and it's on train tracks. If he doesn't get off the stool, I would say the train would hit up to like his legs, maybe his stomach, something like that. But if he kicks off the stool, then it would cause his tongue to be ripped out, which means he would be free. Now he would bleed out, but let's just give it the benefit of the doubt and say that it is possible for him to be able to get to help in time and live. Instead of either immediately kicking the stool out or waiting until the train passes, because yeah, your legs will be gone, but or hell, not even that. Try and like hoist yourself up. Like his hands are free, you can sort of grab onto the bars that is holding the vice and pull his legs up so that he doesn't get hit by the train. And then once the train passes, let go, have your tongue be ripped out, and then live. But no, he decides to, kick the stool away. Like when the train is only like inches away from him, that way, instead of just having half his body be hit by the train, his entire fucking body gets hit by the train. Make it make sense. So, I'd recommend skipping this one. Like, it's not. I wouldn't consider this Saw 9. It's just a spin off that isn't good. Roofman. Universally positive ratings, so I watched it in the cinema. Channing Tatum, Kirsten Dunst, Juno Temple, Lakeith Stanfield, Peter Dinklage, Ben Mendelsohn, Tony Revolori, Jimmy O. Yang. When did this film come out in the UK? 17th of October. Around the time that I seen The Running Man, like a couple days after I seen The Running Man, maybe even the day after I seen The Running Man, was when I seen Roofman. And the reason why I took so fucking long to watch Roofman is because my dad said he was interested in it. But then, instead of actually saying, oh, let's go see it, he sat on his ass and gambled all his money and smoked all his money. And then he's like, oh, I only have money for one cinema trip, so I want to see Predator. He was like, Roofman is about to leave. Predator's going to stay for a while because it's a fucking Predator movie, so no, you're not watching Predator. I'm the one that has the OmniPass, so I kind of have control over booking the tickets. So I get to decide, and it's either you're watching Roofman or you're watching nothing. He decided on nothing, so I went to see Roofman on my own. And the film is really good. To be clear, I don't remember when I was that I did the Running Man review, but it was a while ago, so my memory of the film is very hazy. But I do remember it being very funny. I was surprised by the amount of language in it, the fact that there was male and female nudity. I wasn't expecting any nudity in it. But with all that, the film does have sort of heart to it, because even though the guy's a criminal, you do feel for him and you feel the sort of love between him and Kirsten Dunst's character. But the fact that she cooperated with the police, it did sting, to be honest. And because I took too long making this video, that's all I really have to say. I am very, very sorry. Now you see me, now you don't. Negative rating. I watched it in cinema with Dylan, directed by Ruben Fletcher, starring Dave Franco, Morgan Freeman, Isla Fisher, Ariana Greenblatt, Lizzie Kaplan. Daniel Radcliffe does not appear in the film. Jesse Eisenberg, Rosamund Pike, Mark Ruffalo, Justice Smith, Dominic Sessa, Woody Harrelson. The They wanted to call Now You See Me 2, Now You See Me, Now You Don't, but the studio was like, oh no, we can't have the word don't in the title because it connotes negativity and we don't want to put a negative film. And it's like, how fucking retarded can you get? But anyway, I seen this the same day I seen Roofman, and I was expecting, Dylan to be like, oh, this film fucking sucks because blah blah blah. The man has very, very little suspension of disbelief. He actually did quite enjoy the film. I really enjoyed it too. I think it's great, and I would like to see Now You See Me 4 with all of the Horsemen. Like, I don't want this to just be a legacy sequel where Jesse, Dave, Isla, Woody, and I guess Lizzie hand the series over to Ariana, Dominic, and Justice. I would like to see all of them working together. But just getting a Now You See Me 4 is a win on its own. So, memory's hazy. What I can say is I wasn't expecting Morgan Freeman to be killed off like the way that he was. I didn't know Lizzie was coming back. I predicted Mark Ruffalo's cameo because, at the end when they have like that knock on the door, Dylan said to me, oh, I bet you that's going to be like Rosamund Pike is still alive or something like that. Or it's Morgan Freeman. I was like, nah, it's going to be Mark Ruffalo. And it was Mark. The plot twist where it turns out Justice Smith is actually Rosamund's long fought dead half brother. That sounds like something out of a telenovela. There's no evidence for it, which that also was the reason why the twist in Now You See Me 1 was so stupid. I seen Now You See Me 1 as a kid. Like, I was 10 when I seen it. And I thought it was like the greatest thing ever when they did that plot twist that Mark Ruffalo was actually a magician. But then I watched a video talking about another film, I can't remember what it was. And then, because of that video, I realized, oh, right, yeah, actually, that was terrible because there was no evidence for it. Yeah, there was no evidence that he was her brother. Despite that, the film was really enjoyable. That's all I can say. Nuremberg. Mixed rating, or not mixed, universally positive ratings. I watched it in the cinema with my dad. I'll explain in a bit. Russell Crowe, Rami Malek, Colin Hanks, Michael Shannon, John Slattery. Excuse me. Richard E. Grant. So what happened between Nuremberg and Roofman is that me, Dylan, and Ginger booked tickets to see Predator on a Saturday. And I said to my dad, like, they're not going to want you to come because you're a fucking cunt. But I'm still going to invite you anyway. Do you want to go see it on Saturday? And he's like, no, but I want to go drinking on Saturday. Even though we were seeing the film at 2:20. So, plenty of time to get home, get dinner, and then go out drinking. So we sat down. I said, okay, fine. Oh, hey, that film that you wanted to watch, we thought it was a Cineworld exclusive, but no, they did release it in the Omniplex. You want to go see that on Friday? Sure. And we did. My opinion on the film is that, while it's really good, like, the performances from Russell Crowe in particular is great. Rami Malek is just playing Rami Malek in this. I like Rami Malek, but it's just everything he does, it's always the same. He kind of like shakes his head a lot and he speaks as if he has the same sort of lack of confidence that Elliot did in Mr. Robot. And it made sense for the amateur, but not for this. But by the end of the film, where they reveal that, you know, his book was a failure, he became an alcoholic, and then he died not long after the trials. It kind of reminded me of the ending of Oppenheimer, where, you know, he regretted making the bomb. So I feel like this film is a nice companion piece to Oppenheimer, even though the only thing they have in common is World War II, but it's just Oppenheimer was more about Japan, whereas this was more about Germany. I still feel like it's a nice parallel. And that's all I can really say about the film. Predator Badlands. Universally positive ratings. I watched in the cinema, directed by Dan Trachtenberg. Starring Elf Hanning. I watched this with Ginger and Dylan. I went into this thinking that it's probably going to be as good as Prey, more or less, but the three of us were blown away. Like, all three of us would go as far as to say it is the best Predator film. And there's no competition for it, because really, when you look at the others, Predator 1 was it's the original. And it's a very smart film. It's not your typical Arnold film. There is intelligence to it. So it is the foundation for the series, and I have to give it a lot of respect for that. Even if it were just a solo film, it is amazing. But it's just Badlands is so much better because, Predator walked so Badlands could run. Predator 2, I think, was a good sequel. I think it's nothing special. I think the rating for it is fine as is. AVP and AVP 2 fucking suck. That's all I really have to say about them. Predators was quite enjoyable. It's missing a lot of things that Predator 1 had that made it as good as it was. And it had that shitty plot twist that Topher Grace's character is actually a serial killer. That wasn't done well. The Predator fucking sucks. It might even suck more than AVP and AVP 2. And then Prey is a pretty fucking good film. I have not seen Killer of Killers, so I can't compare it. But all those films are knocked out of the park by Badlands. Badlands starts with a great fight scene between two Yankees, and that has never been done in a Predator film before. And then you have the guy whose name is Deck. He crash lands on the planet, and it's a very dangerous planet, even to the Yautja. He is missing a lot of his weapons because of the crash landing, but because the planet's so dangerous, he's able to find things that he can use as substitutes. Like, for example, there are these plants that have these spines on them, kind of like cacti. Wherever you get too close, it releases, like, the plant sort of explodes and the spines come flying out and it paralyzes you. And then there are other things that literally blow up. And Deck takes those and uses them to his advantage, and it's so fucking cool. And then he meets Fia. And I went into it hoping that Fia wasn't going to be like I think the best thing to use as an example is Navi, or whatever her name is, from Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, where it's like, hey, listen, every 5 minutes. Fia was kind of like that, but only at the start. It was just like, she was looking about, um, but it was whatever. Eventually, she split up from Deck, and that's when things got serious. And there were some things about her character that were quite funny, well intentional or not. She, at the start of the film, is missing her legs. She is a synthetic. Which, speaking of, they seamlessly incorporate an alien crossover because she works for Leyland Yutani, and like they weren't going like, "Hey, this is an alien crossover," nudge nudge. And I think it's much better to do it that way, where it's like a shared universe rather than just having it like AVP, where it's like, "Oh, these two things exist together," and then have Ridley Scott decanonize that, retcon it. That's the word. But she's missing her legs, so Deck sort of wears her on his back like a backpack. And then later on in the film, she doesn't get her legs back, but she gets close enough in order to sort of activate them. And there's a lot of fighting where it's just her legs doing it. And it's really fucking cool. Also, because Elle Fanning is quite pale in this, and because of her haircut, she looks like Ayanna from Siege. I think that's quite funny. That's all I really have to say about the film. It's so fucking badass. It is probably the closest thing we will get to a good God of War adaptation. Because like the action and the spectacle of it all, it does kind of remind me a lot of God of War. And that's a really good thing. I really want a sequel because of how the film ended, where it's like he defeated his dad. Sort of kind of felt like a I'm worthy moment. And then his mum shows up. And then the film ends and it's like, we need Badlands too. Moving on. Keeper. Universally negative ratings, directed by Paul Perkins. I watched it in cinema. Tatiana Maslany. I went to the film with my hopes up because the monkey was good. And I was very disappointed. The film is very, very boring. And it kind of made me think that maybe Oz just is not a good writer. It's just the fact that he had a Stephen King book that he was adapting, that the monkey was so good. But it turns out he didn't even write this. So the whole, it's hard to tell what's going on from the trailer. It's just a bunch of random things, which that is appealing to me. But it's the execution that sucks. What happened is that Tatiana is going to this cabin with her boyfriend. The boyfriend brings a cake and entices her to eat it. And she has a slice, and then she wakes up in the middle of the night, and even though she's not a fan of chocolate cake, she eats the entire thing like a fucking pig. And then just a bunch of random shit happens, and then eventually they explain it all at the end. So what it is that 200 years ago, Tatiana trespassed on this guy's land. She got shot for it. The guy that shot her dragged her back to his pig barn. She's pregnant, by the way. She gives birth inside the barn. But she doesn't give birth to a human. She gives birth to, I think, 5 different creatures. That's all I can really say to describe them. I'm not going to show what they look like. I'm not going to describe what they look like. Just call them. I'm just going to call them creatures, or her children. The guy goes back into the barn and discovers this, and he makes a pact with the children, where as long as he brings her or them people to eat, they will make him immortal. So he spends the next 200 years becoming people like girls' boyfriends, inviting them to the cabin, and then drugging them with the cake and getting the children to eat them. And then he met Tatiana. And he was like, "Oh, Tatiana kind of looks like that girl I shot. You know, the mother of the children that are keeping me alive for the past 200 years." And then he does the whole thing of being her boyfriend for about a year, invites her to the cabin, and I think it's because she is the mother, reincarnated. The drugs in the cake don't take effect. But eventually she gets knocked out because she tries to escape and hits her head. The children don't eat her because, you know, they realize, oh, that is mother. So they are reunited now, and they get revenge on the boyfriend. I quite enjoyed the ending where that all happened, but that's about it. Overall, it's not worth watching. Wicked for Good. Positive rating. Directed by John M. Chu. I watched it in cinema with one of the cinema workers who I've become friends with because Ginger works in the cinema and he introduced me to everyone. I'm not going to bother making a fake name for any of the cinema people. So, just moving on to the cast. Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, Jonathan Bailey, Ethan Slater, Jeff Goldblum. I had a feeling Peter Dinklage voiced the goat, but I wasn't sure. Michelle Yeoh, Coleman Domingo apparently voices the lion, but I don't know about that. Bowen Yang. I actually seen this in a double bill of the first and second films released together. But something weird that happened was that the double bill came out on Thursday, and then the film came out yesterday. And a lot of people bought tickets to the double bill just so that they could see part 2 early. Like, the cinema was only half full during part 1, and then it was full during part 2. And it's just, it's the price of 2 tickets. Like, are you really willing to pay that much just to see it a day early? Like, at the very least, stay and watch part 1. But, anyway, within the first minute of the film, they show themes of animal abuse, slavery, and there was another thing, I can't remember what it is. It's probably racism or something. But it's just, like, you've shown all that within the first minute? What the fuck? And it's great because, you know, it's getting the message out there. Really, the only people that will be offended by this is PETA. Because God forbid you show animal abuse to promote anti-animal abuse when, you know, the animals that are being abused aren't even fucking real. They're CGI. But I had a feeling that the film would start with, like, it'd be really dark, and I was kind of hoping for that. And it wasn't as dark as I was hoping, but that's pretty fucking dark. Oh, and then Alphabet rescues them, the animals that were being enslaved, and there's a minute where, or not a minute, like 10 seconds, maybe less, where she rides her broom like it's a surfboard. Like, instead of sitting on it like your stereotypical witch, and like she does for the rest of the film and in all of part one, she stands on it like a surfer, and it's weird. It's cool, but like, does this cool shit for 10 seconds and then stops and no explanation. It's kind of based. What isn't based is that later on in the film, she goes to have sex with the prince, and just as they're about to have sex, she's like, huh, I feel wicked. And it's like, say that again, but at the same time, shut the fuck up. Like, we don't find say that again funny because it's good writing. It's not good writing. It's terrible writing. So don't do it. But they, that happens. It cuts to Glinda doing something, and then it cuts back to them after they've had sex. And the girl I was watching it with, like, when you see them sort of crawl off of each other and go like, "Oh, that was amazing," she started pointing at the screen, going, "They fucked! They fucked!" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm watching the film. I know." Um, but I find it funny that she did that. Uh, but halfway through the film, there's a song which it's my favorite song in part two, where she's basically saying that every time she tries to do something good, she ends up getting punished for it. And it is true, but at the same time, there is this one time where one of the things that happened that she's using as an example wasn't her fault. What happened was that her sister has now become the governor because the dad died of a heart attack after he realized, oh no, Alphabet is the Wicked Witch of the West. And she's just bending over to what Oz says, and because Oz is promoting animal slavery, she's promoting animal slavery, and her husband is like, nah, fuck this. Like, he tries to leave, but then he realizes that she's enacted a law against munchkins. Munchkins are no longer allowed to leave Munchkinland without a permit. And he goes back to her just as Elfman is there talking to her, just trying to be like, can we be friends, please? And Abel knows. And Buck says to her, basically, you've gone too far. I'm leaving. I'm not coming back. And the sister is so desperate to try and keep him that she actually opens the grimoire and tries to read a spell. But because she doesn't have the same ability as Alphabet, she's reading the words all wrong and the spell fucks up. Bok's heart starts shrinking, and the only thing that Alphabet can do, grimoire spells cannot be reversed. So the only thing she can do is make it so that he doesn't need a heart to live. And he becomes the Tin Man. And I thought, it's kind of weird that they're making a connect it like that. I didn't think that they would. But that's not the only connection. Because that guy, the prince that she slept with, he becomes the straw man. The cowardly lion is a lion that she rescued in part one, who is all grown up now. And the girl that Dorothy stole the slippers from is her sister. And the combination of all these things happening to her is it made Alphabet realize that anytime she tries to do something good, she gets punished for it or it goes all wrong and all that. And yeah, I do get that because I feel the same a lot of the time. But it's just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna be evil now. And it's like, what? But then by the end of the film, they do some shit and it makes sense. So while this film isn't as good as part one, it still is pretty good. I do really enjoy it, even though the middle was a bit weird and confusing. I have heard we may be getting a part 3, but it's more of a spin-off than a sequel. I keep on hiccuping for some reason. That's everything, really. I haven't watched any other shows. I haven't gone to the cinema since Wicked. I won't be going back for a while because Wicked is the only thing that came out this week. Because, you know, who dares release a film the same fucking week as Wicked? I am not halfway through Judgment yet, so no medal review for that. That's the only other thing I think of. So yeah, there's nothing else.